First of all, let me just say thank you to Pallas and Women in Numbers for inviting me here tonight. I am thrilled to be here. I was also thrilled to see the answers to all of the questions that I often ask my clients with hands going up. Do you have will? Do you know where your super is? Have you logged in? Have you checked it recently? That is phenomenal. So credit to all of you ladies who are here tonight taking responsibility for your personal finances. I'm going to talk a little bit more about all of those things tonight in the 10 minutes that I have to talk about this. But we have all been standing tonight and enjoying some beverages and some lovely food. I think the bubbles have started to go to my head, so I am going to probably only last for 10 minutes. Let me start off with a question, though. Who here knows the fastest growing group of homeless people in Australia? Who are they? Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Women over the age of 50. This is not acceptable, is it? And I think it starts with certainly financial education, which is, again, why I'm so thrilled to be here to present to the Women in Numbers. But it just speaks of the fact that as human beings, as women, it's key to educate the next group of women coming up. So hopefully you'll be taking knowledge and things that you learn tonight away with you to do that with your daughters and your sons, for that matter, because oftentimes it's men as well in relationship that drive the financial decisions. How many of you work with a financial advisor currently? Hands up. Great. So not too many hands went up. And I think you're missing out on an opportunity if you aren't working with a financial advisor. And I'll just share a quick story. Actually, before I share a story, as introduced, I'm PJ Patterson. You can tell that my Australian accent is quite strong. But I'm actually from the U.S. originally, and from Missouri, right in the middle of the country. But I've been here for 27 years. So when I go back to the U.S., people say, you don't really sound like an American anymore. And I think, how can that possibly be the case? Because everyone in Australia tells me I sound like a Yank. In any case, a quick story about a client that I recently spoke to. We do mortgages. We do financial planning in my business. We do holistic advice. And my mortgage writer was talking to a client that we'd written a mortgage for just pre-COVID. He was building. He was going through a whole raft of problems. It was very tight on servicing. So there was a lot of struggle with that particular mortgage. And he was talking to this client. They were looking to refinance. And he sent me an email after the conversation just saying, oh, this particular client is getting an inheritance from his father who had passed away, and he wants to pay off his mortgage. And I went, oh, well, there's an opportunity. And so immediately we went into the mode of working with that client to show them other ways that they could take that wealth that they were inheriting and leverage it to change their life. Can you imagine how that person felt after I had a quick conversation with them and said, you know what, we can create some wonderful cash flow. We can recycle all of your debt. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And we can actually change your entire position in terms of how you feel about cash flow at the moment. So going from stress to confidence and feeling like I no longer have any money problems. Wouldn't that be a great feeling if I could just wave a magic wand and give you all an inheritance like that? Well, the good news is that we are actually going through one of the greatest wealth transfers in the history of humankind. So the silent generation is currently, they're almost gone. The baby boomers are well into retirement. And they're now starting also to pass away. And you are going to be the benefactors, and your kids and possibly grandkids are going to be the benefactors of this great wealth transfer. In my opinion, that means you should be working with, there's nothing anyone should do except eat and breathe, I suppose. But I would strongly encourage you to go out and find an advisor that you can like and trust, that will not talk down to you. And sadly, my profession has treated women very poorly. Over the last, 50 years, let's say, it's been a male-dominated industry. And hopefully, I think a lot of those guys are now starting to retire and get out of the industry, which is great. And it's leaving a lot of opportunity for guys like me to work with wonderful women like you who are educated and want to get better at all of that. So the guidance, the things that we can help you with as advisors, please seek out someone who you can, again, know, like, and trust. 3 key strategies that I'm going to talk about tonight, and then I'm going to get off the stage. The first one is to have a principal place of residence. And this sounds obvious, right, to get a PPOR. But so many people don't focus on this as a goal. There's two really good tax strategies in Australia. One of them I've just said, principal place of residence. Does anyone know why? No capital gains tax. How good is that? I dare say we're probably one of the only countries in the world that offers that particular benefit on our home. We certainly don't have it. Well, we do have it in the US, but up to certain thresholds. That's the first one. What's the second really good tax advantage structure in Australia? Super. Yeah. When you retire, as Tess was saying earlier, and good on you, Tess, for going through all the super stuff and hammering, we're at that end of financial year now, and you need to be thinking about your contributions. But that's the second one. So we have two really good tax structures in Australia, but the principal place of residence gives you a couple of key things. Angela, I know you're a rent investor, and I think that's a great strategy to consider, probably for younger people who are looking to develop some sort of deposit for a principal place of residence. Yeah, and that is you all day long, right? But certainly I think as you get older, because what I've experienced, I've got 3 kids and a lovely wife, and we decided to buy a home 20-something years ago now because we wanted to be in a suburb. We wanted to have certainty of tenancy. We didn't want to have to be moving, and all that BS that goes along with being a renter, right? So I think a principal place of residence is absolutely critical to your foundation for your finances. One of the cool things that a lot of people don't actually know is that you can leverage that principal place of residence. So you can actually borrow against it, create tax-deductible debt, and go and invest in things like, which is something I do with clients, Pallas Capital, where you get an amazing return over what you're probably paying in interest to the bank, and you're booking that, or not booking it, but you're banking that yourself and paying off your mortgage in an accelerated fashion. So principal place of residence, key thing everybody needs to have. And by the way, these 3 key strategies, if these are the only things you ever did in your life, you'll be financially set for your life, in my opinion. And I've observed that over a career now of spanning 3 decades. The second thing is superannuation. Now, you are all pretty switched on with that. The number of hands that went up in relation to knowing where your super is, knowing how it's invested, and all the rest of it was impressive. Really, really impressive. How many of you have a self-managed super fund? Okay, good. Not too many hands went up. I believe that having control of your super is absolutely critical. And I say that because the superannuation system here in Australia is quite interesting. It's dominated by a number of large industry funds that drive a lot of the flow of capital into a lot of the large Australian companies. I was actually at a lunch today where the fund manager was talking about some of the dynamics in the Australian market and the fact that the industry funds now are going to have to start diversifying their books away from Australia and over to other international jurisdictions, because I don't know, you can only buy so many CBA bank shares at a multiple of 28 times. If that doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry. It just means that CBA shares are very expensive right now relative to other banks in Australia and around the world. In any case, I think controlling your super and having a structure like an SMSF, it gives you other opportunities. You can invest in other things, gold, silver, if you're really worried about Trump hitting the nuclear button and blowing everyone up. He's not going to do that. I don't think he's going to do that anyway. I haven't talked to him recently, so I have no idea. But it gives you the opportunity to invest in other things. If property is your thing, you can buy property in super. You can leverage it in super. It just gives you that opportunity to take your money and do other things with it. And by the way, women are better investors than men. Did anyone know that? You actually are. Somebody did a study on this. I don't know who it was, but you actually are. Yeah. Shock, awe, really? Oh my God, no way, right? Yes, it's actually true. And this is one of the reasons why, and Shannon's here in the room somewhere, why I am very keen. Put your hand up, Shannon, at the back, my newest associate advisor. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I am proactively looking to hire women into the business, because I think you're smarter. Can I just say it? You're just smarter. And I'm not pandering to the room. You are smarter. Yeah. My wife tells me all the time she's smarter than me. She actually is. Where was I? So self-managed super fund, right? Get control of your money. I think you should be getting out of industry funds and some of these platforms. Hopefully one of your sponsors isn't a platform. But in any case, getting control of it, right? That's super. And that's because it's the second best tax advantage structure in Australia. And that's when you retire, when you go on pension phase, zero tax. So when you get there, if you have property in super, whatever, you sell it, there's no CGT. It's fantastic. speak to an advisor. By the way, I'm not giving you any advice today. There's no disclaimer slide anywhere, but please don't run out and set up an SMSF tomorrow. Make sure you talk to Tess or talk to, I don't know, there might be a really good financial advisor standing right in front of you. The final thing that I'm going to just mention to you tonight is then having a structure or something else you're doing with your money outside of your home and outside of super. And that's because you want to have some money somewhere else that you can get access to. So that could be, if you have a family, could be a family trust, could be just in your personal name. Education bonds were mentioned earlier. Fantastic products. I don't know that they have those anymore. I think they're now just investment bonds broadly that that you can use for education, but they've enhanced that product. It's actually quite good. It's an insurance product. But having that trust structure is something where you can invest separately to super into your home. Fantastic idea. That can be a pool of liquidity. You could have it in stuff like Pallas. You could have it in something that's a bit more liquid, that if there was an emergency and you needed to go get it, you could go get access to it. I think the final thing, how am I doing on time, by the way? Okay, another minute or two? Yeah. I get the nod? Yes? Okay. How many of you know how much life and TPD and critical illness and income protection insurance you have? Okay, not enough of you, not enough of you. And insurance is one of those things that a lot of people don't like to pay for, but when you need it, you're going to want to have it. I'll give you another quick story. I had a client about 20 years ago that I wrote a mortgage for. We did a refinance for them, and it was a substantial debt, around $1 million, $1.5 million debt. And I dare say around 2010, 2011, when I became an advisor, we refinanced them, and unfortunately, I kind of lost track of them because they moved up to Queensland. And probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I got a text message from this client. And the text message read something along these lines. PJ, I wanted to thank you for insisting that my wife and I take out life and TPD and some other insurances. I was involved in a motorbike accident, and I'm now a paraplegic. And if it wasn't for the policy that you insisted that I take out, my life, he may have used some colorful language, but my life would have been over and completely different. So again, it's one of those things that we are very holistic in the way we provide advice to clients or the way we think about our clients, because sometimes I need to have a conversation with you that you need to hear. You may not want to hear or want to have, but it's in your best interest. And that's just an example of having insurances when you need it, and hopefully, touch wood, none of you will ever need any of your insurance policies. And I truly mean that. I hope that you never do. Sadly, 2 out of 3 people in this room will have a critical illness of some sort during their life. So look around the room and see who that's going to be. If you could pick them, then, good on you. So really, that's it. That's the 3 key strategies that I wanted to share with you tonight. Again, very basic. Some of you in this room are very advanced in what you're doing, and that's awesome. There's a book actually that I wanted to mention. So take this down. It's called The 10% Solution. It's a book about angel investing, but more so about you, ladies, offering your skills, your skill set to new businesses that are up and coming, being founded or whatever. And you can do that for equity. You can maybe do it as a paid role, but it's kind of that side hustle thing, right? There's a lot of side hustle stuff on Facebook these days showing up. But forget about all that, trading options and that mumbo jumbo. Utilize your skill set. Find a young business that needs some assistance with whatever, bookkeeping or financial advice or HR or whatever it is that you do. And say, hey, I'll take a 1 or 5 or 10% stake in your business for that help. So 10% Solution, good book to have on the shelf. Have a read of that. Ladies, it's been a privilege and an honor to speak with you tonight and for you tonight. If you do have any questions or want to have a chat with me afterwards, or Shannon, I am very happy to have any of that engagement. So thank you again.
As a woman, you need to take control of your finances. You need to ask the tough questions, and you need to know where you are in your financial situation. You need to consider if you've got a will, what your super looking like, and also consider your insurances you have in place. Going into the end of the financial year, I think what I took away was looking at if you can top up your super, because there's some tax benefits to that.
My key takeaways from this evening, great event, would be for women to spend a bit more time and energy focusing on their own financial circumstances. And I think that's really important whatever the starting point is, to start there, and also to get some good financial advice, basically. There are a lot of good strategies that we've been told of tonight, so accessing those is, really going to put all the women in good standing.
Women can do anything. And I was really impressed with a woman buying a block of flats, getting the bank loan, sorting it out, making sure it had a fantastic return, and then going back and doing it again.
I met so many interesting people from really diverse walks of life, journalists to property conveyancer, and all women are just after the same thing, which is reassurance, education, and just wanting to know that they're okay. And so I think the connection, the ability to have a chat with different people, that was the best part of the evening.
This event was really, really good. It opened up everyone's eyes to various areas in their lives, I guess, that they didn't even consider. So it was great. Understanding that they shouldn't be embarrassed about asking questions and things they don't know, because it's those things. It's, we don't know what we don't know. We only go by what we've been shown or taught or grown up with. So tonight was really good to hear women come back and ask certain questions that they normally wouldn't, about protecting their assets. What if divorce happens? What if death happens? All that kind of stuff. And it's important to get advice from an independent person so that you can be assured that you aren't being told something just for the sake of your partner not looking like he's not giving you all the advice. Because sometimes in a relationship you can get complacent. And sometimes, well, how's this? I learned a long time ago, desperate people do desperate things. And it may not be intentional. But what you don't know, you can't fight, you can't defend, you can't protect yourself from. So getting that independent advice is almost like getting a second opinion for your health.
What a fantastic initiative and group. I think it's so vibrant, it's so diverse, and it's so needed. To have a forum where women can network within themselves, but also have access to experts in various places. So valuable, highly recommend.